Well, it is that time again. Time for some more good old cinnamon in episode 17. Just threw that as a complete guess.
Higher.
20.
Higher. Yay!
Hey! Episode 20 of the cinnamon. I am one of your hosts, Seed. And with me is...
I'm just waiting to see how long this is going to go. You keep looking for me to grab that, and I'm like, nope.
I was like,
nope.
take the baton. Nope.
Nope.
All right, I guess I'm going to run this leg too. It's the Alphabet Man himself, Doug Davidson.
Alphabet Man.
Yeah, you got all the stuff after your name now, sir.
Oh,
You're official
right.
in these streets.
Yeah, I'm going for the
You're Doug
highest
Davidson,
score
A-to-Z.
in Scrabble.
You need a J, you need a Q.
I didn't used to put the MA after my name in initials, but as I started getting some of the joining the organizations and stuff, I looked at Crystal and was like, fuck it at this point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add my BA on there, so it's gonna be Douglas Davidson BA, MA, NCFCA, SEFCA, CCA, and then like figure out how to become Esquire.
And then just go to somebody's high school, join ROTC.
Well, if it's high school, it's JROTC.
Oh, it's an actual letter for it. It's
Exactly.
that J you need, right?
Exactly.
What's going on, sir?
And the worst thing is I won't be able to spell fuck all.
No.
No points. All vowels.
All vowels.
You can't do anything with mostly vowels. Anyway, I'm good. It's getting crazy for me. The day job is getting a little hectic right about now, so it's hard to watch movies and do everything else. And on the amazing but exhausting side, Crystal's Casual Confections is all kinds of nuts in October, because in particular...
Nuts and pecans and walnuts.
Oh, yeah, all kinds of nuts. A few almonds. Yeah, definitely some almonds. Ooh, pecans. She's making cookies right now. She's testing out some stuff.
Ooh.
If I remember right now as we're recording this, quick shout out to the Geek Gala that's
Yeah,
going on
yeah.
from the Charlotte Geeks. If you're in the Charlotte area, it's November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I think the actual gala is the 2nd, and Crystal's actually going to make stuff for I think an auction or something
right.
like that, like she did last year. So things are a little nuts, kinds of crazy. Lots of chocolate. Got any Steven Universe fans? She's actually Cookie Cat, I think is what it's called. I've seen one episode.
Same here, one episode.
There you go. Connor really liked it, but then Crystal started watching it more than he has. But she's making Cookie Cat bars, I think, or Cookie Cat cookies, I guess.
Sure.
So, I don't know. I'm learning as I go. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Lots of grading, lots of movie watching, and lots of sampling of foods.
It's a life to have, sir.
It is. She made 2 loaves of bread yesterday. We ate one. It's not a joke. She took the other one out of the freezer this morning because tonight, as we're recording this, tonight is the start of Rosh Hashanah, which is the beginning of the Jewish New Year.
Yes.
So anybody that's listening that is also somewhat or fully practicing in terms of Judaism, Happy New Year.
There you go. Boom. Happy New Year out there, guys.
Hashanah Tova.
Boom.
Yeah.
What have you been watching lately, sir?
Oh, my God. Okay, so I've seen a few things that I'm probably going to get yelled at. I just watched Toy Story 3, for example.
3.
Yeah,
Okay.
3. Came out in 2010. It only took me about 9 years to watch it. Stuff was going on in 2010. The Toy Story series hasn't been big on my priority list. I saw the first one and enjoyed it. The second one I saw in college, I think, and didn't. Something about the storyline didn't really connect with me. And 4 is about to come out on home video, which I haven't seen, so I'm going to review that. Probably helps if I've seen 3. I will say this. That film is not for kids. That film, the third one, is for the kids that started watching it with
In 1995 or whenever Toy Story came out.
Yeah. This is not a film for kids of that age. It is dark.
That's what I've heard.
Okay. It's been 9 years, so I feel like I'm still going to say spoiler alert, but I feel comfortable saying this. There is a moment where our main toys all grasp hands in as they go, well, we're going to die, but at least we're going to do it together.
Yeah,
like
see,
one of
there you
them's
go.
still struggling, and I think it's Jessie reaches out to her horse and is like,
It's okay.
she doesn't say anything. She just,
Yeah.
we're done. We're toast. Now they get saved. There's a 4th film. It's also a kids movie, so they get saved. But there's some really heavy stuff in this movie.
Yeah, man.
And,
I heard he gets wild.
And even the beginning of the movie, I was going, all right, yeah, this is definitely for the parents in the room, because they do this montage with Andy as a little kid where I'm going, oh, it's Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But
They know they're doing.
I saw Toy Story 3. I finally caught up on Shaft, the Tim Story directed.
Did you dig it?
I did.
All
I
right.
actually did. Now, it's possible because I'd had a really sort of rough teaching day that day, but I came home and put in Shaft. Crystal's working on the other side of the wall while I'm watching it. She, as I was leaving to go get Connor, she goes, "Well, I can tell you enjoyed that." I had to apologize, but there was some really clever. There was some clever jokes in there that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson, as always, is just fun watching him bust other people's balls.
That's what he does very well.
He does that very well, and having all three, we'll call them generations as they are, but also in terms of generations of film, going from Richard Roundtree in the original to Jackson taking it over in I think 2000. And then Jesse T. Usher. It's very much different ideologies in terms of generations. They're very much of their eras, but at the same time, they're their own thing. And watching them, even though it takes all the way to the end of the movie, is a lot of fun. Now, granted, did you see it?
No, it is on the list. I did not get to see it when it was in theaters.
It's one of those things where tonally it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's a buddy cop comedy, but it's also a drama in the same way you expect Shaft movies to be. At the same time, it's also an action film. So I haven't seen any of the Richard Roundtree Shafts.
Isn't action kind of like implied with buddy cop?
Yeah, but it depends on, like, there's Lethal Weapon Buddy Cop, which is sort of a action comedy, but it leans hard into the action and the dark side of that stuff. Although it got lighter the further you went into like 3 and 4. And then there's Stuber.
Okay.
Where it's we're gonna play more into the heavy opposites.
Right.
Okay. And in this one you've got there's John Shaft Jr., and then John Shaft II. Yeah. This is part of the wait, really? But you have to kind of go with it because there was also Shaft from 1971, if I'm remembering right, Shaft from 2000, and then Shaft from 2019 that are all part of the same continuing story, if you will, but they all have the same name. So good luck with that.
Okay. John, yes.
Yes. So there's John Shaft, which is Richard Roundtree, John Shaft Jr., which is Samuel L. Jackson, and then John Shaft Jr., or JJ, which is Jesse T. Usher. Roll with it.
Okay.
Just roll with it.
Sounds good.
But the fact that there's these different tones, it disrupts. Sometimes it works really well. Like in 2 specific shootouts, it works really, really well. But then later on, not so much. A character gets kidnapped, and so Dad and Junior are trying to figure out what to do, and that's when Grandpa comes in, the original Shaft. But that whole sequence, as much fun as it is to watch, really reduces the tension of this girl's been kidnapped. So that's where it's tonally a little uneven.
Okay.
But I would still recommend it. I had way more fun with this movie than I expected, considering how it was received critically.
Okay.
I really was surprised by that. A few more to just quickly name. Chained for Life, I have to recommend to people. It's written and directed by Aaron Schiffberg. It stars Alan Pearson, who most folks know from Under the Skin. It is one of the big scenes in Under the Skin just due to his condition. It's neurofibrosis, if I remember right. And so his face, due to this condition, I don't know if he grew tumors and therefore has had surgeries, or if this was just how it presented. But he is a TED Talk speaker. He is an actor, voice actor, if I remember correctly, in the UK. He has a phenomenal voice, and I don't remember if he spoke in Under the Skin, but here he steals the whole movie. But the film is about how cinema uses representation to create tropes and sort of feeds into it, and it satirizes that by making the regular people sort of in the way Freaks did, where the regular people were the villains and the people with disabilities were not. This film sort of plays with that notion. The whole thing is done almost in a dreamlike state, and it's really kind of beautiful and wonderful, and you don't actually know if you're watching the movie or the movie that these people are making, or if you're watching the dailies from the movie, or if they're just dicking around. It's kind of hard to tell, but it is wonderful. Highly recommend that. Ad Astra, you've seen that now. Loved that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure how I felt with it watching it because it didn't really connect with me, but over 24 to 48 hours, I could not stop talking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be in my top 5 somewhere. It is a beautiful movie.
It absolutely is. And I get where it wouldn't connect for a lot of people, particularly because Brad Pitt's character is so stoic throughout.
Yeah.
But that's very purposeful. This guy's got walls.
Yeah, it's the same kind of deal with Gosling in First Man last year, right?
Yeah.
He's just very withdrawn from humanity for the most part, and that makes it hard to connect to your lead character. Which is weird, not being able to connect to Brad Pitt, the coolest cat in the room, most of the time.
Really?
But yeah, I thought it was wonderful. And then people are like, well, this scene doesn't make any sense. And there's like a lot of people point to the whole moon chase. They're like, well, why is that? We don't get anything. Don't care. It was a nice little action beat. It was great to watch. It was a little bit of fun. And I don't really care what the moon pirates, what their whole backstory is. They're just there to fuck up the day and keep it moving.
But they did actually have purpose, and this is I think the fault of the marketing, because the marketing shows us the moon chase, they show us some other things, some of these dramatic action moments. So I think people were expecting sort of a Blade Runner in space, if you would.
And that's not the fault of the marketing. That's exactly what marketing wanted.
Well, exactly,
yeah.
And that's a problem when people go to see this film, because they're expecting those moon pirates to be something. What they are is a representation of humanity's ability to fuck up everything
everywhere
they touch.
Go.
Because the whole thing, when Pitt lands at the moon, I'm giggling because there's Virgin Airlines, right? There's a Chili's sign, I think, or an Applebee's. And Pitt's character makes a comment about how we've turned the moon into the very thing we left.
Yeah, you got escalators up in there. And, I think that scene also serves to take Donald Sutherland out of the game as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does it in a way that also fits the theme of the film. We've got to further give Brad Pitt what he wants. He starts the film by talking about how much he hates people, and he puts a facade up, and what he looks for is getting out into space. So everything is about making him more and more alone. Give him that solitude that he wants so he can realize, oh, right.
Yeah, maybe this isn't what I need.
No. Right. And even more so that those pirates represent the dark side of humanity. We're up on the moon and we're fighting for resources? What the F? So it's a fantastic sequence too.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a great sequence. That's when I realized a day or two before, I was like, this isn't going to be an action-heavy movie, because they kept showing action trailers, but I'm like, this is the same scene they're showing over and over again. If they just keep cribbing from the same scene, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of action in this movie. And I was 1,000% okay with that. I say usually every year you get one great, deep, heavy, introspective, big-budget, major sci-fi release. It was Interstellar in 2014. It was this year.
We got Arrival a couple years ago.
You got Arrival a couple years ago. You got Annihilation. Hey, how dare you say Number one. I
don't know why it didn't connect with me.
Number 1 for 2018.
I was so excited.
I'm still excited to rewatch that.
Awesome.
You got Ex Machina. So yeah, so it's always nice to get that one big budget that's not just pew pew lasers and action all over the place. And I like movies like that. Blade Runner was a little combination of both. I think. I expect Dune is going to be that next year. I think Dune is next year. Yeah, I expect Dune to be that next year. That good, big, meaty, heavy sci-fi joint.
Do you know if that's releasing in the summer or if it's going to be a fall release? Because that will determine if it's the action heavy or if it's the thoughtful.
Well, I mean, if you release it in the fall, then that might just be a good counter program into all the Oscar stuff that's coming out.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But real quick to round this out, just because I want to make sure that it gets mentioned. 3 quick things. Cyrano, My Love is a film that Roadside Attractions is releasing in select theaters on the 18th. If you love the play Cyrano de Bergerac, as I do, if you've ever seen Steve Martin's Roxanne and it amused you, check out this film. If you're familiar with Shakespeare in Love, the Joe Madden 1998 directed film, the
movie that should not have won Best Picture.
Sure. I don't remember who the other contenders
Saving
were.
Private Ryan.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. But Shakespeare in Love being more of a crowd pleaser, I could see where that went in that direction. No. I'm not saying that it should have beaten Saving Private Ryan. I'm simply saying I see why. Because the Academy makes decisions you can explain even if you don't understand.
Yeah.
See Green Book.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Don't get that at all. But with Cyrano, My Love, it's in that similar vein of we're following a playwright as he's developing the play and seeing how life around him inspires it. And I love every inch of it. I do have a problem that there's only one African-American character in France. African character. Yeah. It's not in America. African character in France in the late 1800s, one, and it just so happens to be the one that inspires the depiction of Cyrano that they go with, that keeps offering solutions to things. I'm going, you're really going to put a magical Negro?
Magical Negro.
Really? Really?
That's never going away, my friend.
Yeah, but it bugs the shit out of me because there were probably others.
Yeah.
At least show us that there's more than one black person.
Yeah. He's like, nope, I got the monopoly on this. I got houses and hotels.
Now the actor and the presence of it is wonderful, but at the same time, I was like, mother effer. Now, the last thing I'll mention before we get into what you've seen and then today's topic, there are 2 4K releases, first time ever coming out. Want to mention those: Pan's Labyrinth, Gremlins. If you have not owned Gremlins before, the 4K edition is the one for you. It's got the bonus features you want. It looks fantastic. Pan's Labyrinth also looks fantastic. I saw stuff that I don't remember seeing when I first saw it back in 2006. However, if you have the Criterion edition, which has the 2K restoration...
Oh, there's a Criterion Pan's Labyrinth?
Oh, yeah, there is. Oh. That Criterion edition has most of the features that the 4K edition has. So if you already have one, you're basically getting a 2K upgrade from the 2K restoration to the 4K. So consider that you're not getting too much new other than a digital copy in 4K and a 4K version along with the Blu-ray that comes in the combo pack. So just keep that in mind. But those are both coming out on October 1st.
Boom. There you go. Happy birthday to me.
There you go.
I saw Freaks.
Wait. The are you talking about Freaks as in the 1930s movie or the new one that just came out?
The one that just came out.
I'm just checking.
I saw Freaks in theaters the other week.
Right on. What'd you think?
I was not in the 1930s last week.
Hey, you watch a lot of Criterion.
That's true. That's true. I do watch a lot of Criterion. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. More than I thought I would. It is directed by and written by Adam Stein and Zach Lipovsky. Emil Hirsch up in there, Grace Park up in there, Bruce Dern just being the creepiest old man possible.
Mr. Snowcone.
Mr. Snowcone himself. And Amanda Crew as well in there as the mom. And Lexi Kolker, there we go, is the main focus of this film.
Yeah, it's her perspective.
It's her perspective. And yeah, it is a weird twist on... Well, I guess it's a weird twist depending on who you are. For the general movie-going audience, it's a weird twist on people with powers and how they are hunted down and shunned. If you've been reading X-Men all your life, then it's not weird at all. Yeah. This is a story we're very used to. But it's interesting to see how they played it out in a different sort of way. Stories about anyone who has any kind of, I hesitate to call them powers, a mutation of some kind, lack of an ability. Yeah. Pretty much hunted down and kind of thrown in an internment camp, where they presented as the public facing as, hey, we want all these people to be safe and accounted for, away from any possible harm. And you realize it is not that. It is not that at all. And my suspicious nature, because you see the public facing front before you see the reality, as any good filmmaker should do it. Yeah. And as soon as that came up, I was like, bullshit. That's going to be bullshit. It was weird seeing Grace Park play a villain.
Is she really a villain, though?
Definitely. She's trying to round these things up and get them into...
You just called them things.
Yeah. Yes. I'm also a villain in the movie. I don't know if you stay after the credits, there's a whole scene with me in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I watched to the credits.
It was after the after credits.
Oh, okay.
It's actually the opening commercials for the next showing of the movie.
Okay, right.
You got to get there early or stay super late.
Damn it.
It's Bruce Dern. Jesus Christ. That guy he is grumpy old man.
Yep.
I can't think of the last 3 Bruce Dern movies I've seen. And I'm just going to assume he's also grumpy in Nebraska as well. He plays a great grumpy old man, but a grumpy old man with a heart in this one. He starts out like, you don't want to trust this movie is like the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. It's just lead changes. And at first you're like, well, come on, just let her out for a little bit. Why don't you? And you're like, no, don't send her out there. Who's this creepy old? Don't trust Bruce Dern. Like, no, listen to Bruce Dern the whole time. It's good at manipulating your emotions and shifting your allegiances. And find out your team group of people are working together for a similar cause.
The way that they give you using the daughter Colker, using her character as the perspective for it is just fantastic because it allows them to play with genre. It allows them to slowly reveal things in the way that you might to a child, but because you're dealing with a child, there's some unpredictability about everything.
Especially at the very end, you're like, oh, well, this took a hell of a turn.
Yeah.
At the very end. This place fucked up. So, Freaks is probably out of theaters by now. I'm going to go.
Should be.
Yeah, I was looking at something to go see Monday, and I didn't see it in there. So make sure you check that out. It's a medium budget sci-fi.
I think so.
Medium, yeah. I think the return to the medium budget movie needs to happen because everything seems like it's indie or it's just a giant money pit of a blockbuster. We need to get a good return of, especially sci-fi, because that is my genre. We need a good medium budget sci-fi. We need more of them.
That was dropped by Wellgo USA, distributed in the U.S. They do some great work in that medium range. They bring a lot of stuff over from overseas as well. Fury was released earlier this year through them. Swing Kids, still one of my favorite movies of this year. Fury as well. But they release a lot of that sort of mid-budget. Yeah.
And other than that, that's about it for me because I am gearing up for the 2019 Paprika Awards. So it is much TV watching, much comic book reading, much video game playing to make sure I get all the good and proper nominees out there for the people to vote on.
No, totally get that because I'm about to shift gears into what's all the stuff I missed.
Yeah, I just started my list the other day of stuff I need to check out by the end to prepare for what I assume will be our top 5 for the year at the end of this year, beginning of January, like we did this year.
The weird thing is most of mine haven't moved. I've had the same number 1 since January.
I've had the same number 1 since April.
No moving end game.
No moving end game. There's been some fluctuation since what my number 2 was. It's kind of dropped down to like 4 or 5. Couple of things recently have just slid up into the mix, as well as the ones I haven't even had a chance to check out yet. So it'll be interesting to see how this all. You know what we should do?
What should we do?
I don't know if this is a bit of a stretch, but at the beginning of the year, we should put out what we preemptively think our top 5 for the end of 2020 will be, and compare and see if it in any way is actually at the end of 2020.
That could be fun. I will be horribly wrong.
I assume I would be as well. I would call Endgame. I know I would call Endgame. I know myself. I probably would have called Spider-Man to be maybe like number 5. It might be top 10.
See, my thing is I watch so many indie and mid-budget films in addition to the big studio stuff that I have no idea where it's going to land. Because I've had The Man Who Killed Bigfoot and then... The Man Who Killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. That's been in my top 5. I'm pretty sure it still is now since saw it in February, and I never would have predicted that.
Okay.
Never would have predicted that. So I have no idea.
All right, then. So
that could be fun.
Let's roll into our top 3 there, sir.
So speaking of top favorites, our topic for today is remakes.
Word.
And Daryl, you were inspired to do this one because of The Princess Bride, yes?
Yes, that, and in 26 minutes, me and Carol do our refried scenes, which is nothing but remakes. That's the whole point of that podcast.
Yes. So if you're not listening to refried scenes, listen to it after this one.
Patreon.com/Paprika Podcast. Yeah. So the news of The Princess Bride possibly thinking about remaking it. The internet was shut that shit down as quickly as they possibly could. Don't you touch. There's a handful of movies I don't think you ever try to. You don't try to remake Princess Bride. You don't try to remake Back to the Future. Zemeckis said over my dead body. So studio's like, we'll wait. And there's a couple other ones out there. But a huge no coming from most of, I'd say a solid 90-95% of quote-unquote film Twitter, the internet in general. They are opposed to this idea. And that got me thinking, what are some remakes that have actually worked that you like? Yeah. Maybe better than the original or just good in their own right.
Absolutely. And that's the one big thing is there is a place for remakes. I totally get where people go, okay, I've had enough. We don't need this. This is a film that doesn't need to be remade. I forget the quote that often comes around or who said it. I forget if it was Ebert or somebody else. Stop remaking good movies, remake bad movies. Those are the ones that need to be remade.
Motherfucker. I said that shit before he said that shit. I've been saying it for years and everybody's like, Ebert. And I was like, God damn, Roger.
Bigger platform.
Bigger platform,
More people heard it.
Oh, it hurts me because I've been crying for Last Starfighter remake. The story is there. The technology is there.
Don't you dare touch. No,
that's the one that needs to be remade.
Just kidding. But there is room though, and I think at least with one of the films that I've got on my list, there is something to be said for taking a story that worked then and finding a cast that would make it work now for a new audience to bring it back. People that may go, oh well, that movie that wasn't from my era, that wasn't that.
Right.
How can we bring them into it? Because it doesn't take away from the other one. However, there are certain films that were such lightning in a bottle that to recreate it is too difficult. For that one, I think The Princess Bride, you would need to find the perfect cast to take up all of those characters to have that same energy. Whereas I look at something like Clue, which totally bombed at the box office, but is now so beloved because it found its audience that on the one hand I'm going, but we have this. On the other hand, it could be amazing.
It could be. I need to see who else they cast before I start getting all excited about it. And like I said, we get Knives Out this year. That's going to be my Clue. So if Knives Out wasn't coming out, this announcement of a Clue remake would have excited me much more.
Totally understandable, and I can't wait to see Knives Out.
I can't wait to see Knives Out. November? Oh, God. I thought it was October for some reason. I got all hyped and I was like, what do you mean November?
I think it's right before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's a great Thanksgiving movie, though. You take the family to go see that shit. That's a good family movie. I'm going to see if I can convince my family to go.
So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is... Oh, let me get back to my list here.
Sure.
Damn, I forget if I did this as 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1.
Go with your gut.
Fuck it. Number 3. Number 3 is a remake of a movie from the 60s or something.
I hope it's a remake of a movie.
Yes, it is a remake of a movie. A little joint called Casino Royale.
Ah.
Yes, directed by Martin Campbell, if I remember correctly. It is the... Thank you for randomly coming in and interrupting our podcast. It is a Martin Campbell joint.
Yes.
Yes. Daniel Craig, Eva Green is your Bond girl for the week. It just reboots the entire Bond franchise, right? Yep. It takes the ridiculousness of like Die Another Day. It was very gadget heavy, very over the top and ridiculous, and it resets it back to we're gonna do a gritty, Bourne-like Bond franchise. And by God, if they didn't do that shit well. It starts with the amazing chase sequence there, and then it just gets better and better and better and better from there.
Absolutely.
A lot of people giving Daniel Craig the guff for being Bond. We don't want a blonde James Bond. But yeah, he's proven that to come through correct. Him and that coming out the water with his big muscular ass.
Everybody always has something terrible to say about whoever gets cast as James Bond.
Yeah.
And then they watch the movie and go, oh, so maybe that's where we should start is let's see them in the movie
first.
And then have an opinion.
Yeah.
So weird how that happens.
It's so crazy how that happens. But yeah, Casino Royale is amazing. And it is the first time in Bond franchise that this is the beginning of an arc of stories. And I would say as far as an arc of stories goes, Casino Royale kicks it off very, very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it ended with the Bond, James Bond. You usually
it's the birth of
that, yeah, you get that somewhere in the first act or the second act. They chose to put it at the very end. Like, this is a statement, I think. They chose to put it at the very end for that reason. This is a statement. This is the new Bond, James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great in Blu-ray, too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Well, my number 3, and I want to point out, because I thought about using Casino Royale, because I love that Bond film.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of several from that series that I really dig, and I love Judi Dench in the role of M, which is one of the things that they kept over from the Brosnan.
It's the only thing they kept over, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So for me, this became tricky because there's a ton of great remakes, but I had trouble selecting one, not because, oh, these are so amazing, but I felt like I couldn't judge a remake unless I'd seen the original. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I wanted to do Casino Royale, but I haven't seen the parody movie that came out in the 60s. Mm. So because of that, I went, well, I can't talk about it. So there were quite a few that I wanted to go through, couldn't do it. So instead, I went with one specifically where I could compare the two, where I felt like there was something new. And so I'm going to start with the 2007 remake, Hairspray.
Oh, okay.
Hairspray. Because I've seen the original. And all of a sudden, I can picture the dude, and I can't think of his name.
Travolta?
No, not Travolta. No, the original,
the
original writer and director. And I can't think of his name all of a sudden. From Baltimore. Why can't I think of it? From Baltimore. Never mind. I'm not going to sing the song from Hairspray. But this version of the film did have, in a way, it very much did have something to say.
Yeah.
And it had a phenomenal cast. Yes, they cleaned it up. The original Hairspray is really dirty. It's really dingy. It's very much in line. I'm going to look it up when you're doing yours, so I'll feel less stupid that I can't think of this guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt very much in line with the original director's line of stuff, where it was just a little dirty, a little indie. And of course, Hairspray, I forget if this version of it had been the musical first or if this inspired the Broadway musical. But this film, it captures the spirit, it captures the energy. Yes, it is clean and it's bright, but it is also very on target with the segregation issues that were happening in Baltimore at the time. Right. And it tackles those in a way with a cast that bring a different energy and a different vibe. And the songs are just infectious as well. Where the first one, it did have music, but I don't remember it as a musical. This one is very much a musical. And it still has songs that I would listen to today. And as a remake, it's got John Travolta, Michelle Pfeiffer, Queen Latifah, Christopher Walken, Jerry Stiller, Allison Janney, James Marsden, Amanda Bynes, Elijah Kelly, Zac Efron, Brittany Snow, and Nikki Blonsky, who was taking on the role of Tracy Trumbull,
yes.
which also featured Ricky Lake, the original Tracy, showing up in a smaller role. This has a fantastic cast. It just has incredible energy. And, I mean, it's, 12 years later, and I'm still listening to songs from it.
Oh, it's already been 12 years, huh? Jeez, I thought that was like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
Time keeps on slipping.
So what's your number 2?
And my number 2, The Dose. I think I just wrote these down and didn't bother to rank them. My number 2, one of the greatest, one of the most underrated, I will say, or underappreciated crime films, The Departed. Ooh. Yes, the movie that Scorsese should have won his Oscar for. I think
Did Shakespeare in Love beat it?
No, but knowing the Academy, they probably would have given it. I think they gave it to him for, what did they give it to him for? Wolf of Wall Street? I don't think they give it to him. What did they give it to him for? Was it Wolf of Wall Street for best director?
No, I am not the Academy, sir.
You're the letter guy, though. You'll get there. It is one of the best crime films there is, I think. I think Scorsese has never been better doing this. And I think one of the things I like is there's generations of acting talent in this movie.
Very much.
So you got heavyweights out there. So you got your Martin Sheen is on there. Jack Nicholson, anchoring down your heavyweights, and you got your middleweights in there. The cats have been around for a little while, so you got like your Baldwins, Matt Damon, Vera Farmiga fall into this, and then you got your lightweights. Leo was finally starting to come onto the scene and really be recognized. Like, oh, this dude's going to be a problem later on. Anthony Anderson, who will find success later on his show Blackish, the most ridiculous show on ABC.
After seeing him in The Shield, oh boy,
yeah, right, yeah. It's generations of great acting talent really all coming together. And whoever that guy's name, Mr. French, I just call him Mr. French in every movie I see him in. It is great drama. There's great tension. God, Matt Damon is just a Weasley little bastard. I have a feeling that's Matt Damon in real life. But anyway. Just the whole relationship of them and Vera Farmiga and that whole bit of business. Jack had done a string of comedies, and he's like, before I leave acting, I need to get back to doing my evil guy dramatic roots, and that's what he chose for this movie for.
Give me Coke and a dildo, stat.
Japanese movies, remake of Infernal Affairs.
Yes.
1 and 2, I do believe, is the remake of that, and it is a lovely, lovely. And then just every time I think of Departed, just the slow motion shot of Sheen's body falling down the side of the apartment complex, and that chills every time. And just the 238 surprises in the last 2 minutes of that movie. He's dead. Oh no, he's dead. No, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
They all did.
Yeah, they all did. And then the one motherfucker, Mark Wahlberg, survives them all. Great script too. Wahlberg's got some great lines. I love The Departed.
Right on.
I am going to be watching it as part of I know the end of October, everybody does their run of Halloween joints. I don't do that. to prepare for The Irishman, I have a string of Scorsese crime films that I'm watching leading up to it. The Departed is on that list.
Right on. Well, my number 2 is a joint from 2016.
Ooh.
Pete's Dragon.
Okay.
I loved the movie as a little kid, the animated film.
Right.
Except only certain parts of it. Mostly because that film, if you go back and watch it, is creepy as hell. Because Pete, the reason why he's running away and ends up finding the dragon is because the family that adopted him, when you first meet them to introduce Pete, is singing a song about how they want him to come out of hiding because they want to beat him and kill him.
Okay. Well,
and eat him.
That'll do it. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Disney family film.
Yeah.
Like you do. And he, of course, ends up finding the dragon, and then he's found by the daughter of the guy that runs the lighthouse, and you've got I saw a dragon, I swear I saw a dragon, and you've got every little piece, and there's some wonderful songs in there. However, in 2016, it was, I think, Disney's second or third remake by this point, because I think they'd already done Maleficent already, and I forget where it lines up, but with this film, of all the live-action remakes that they've done, or photorealistic, if you want to include The Lion King, this one not only has something to say, but it takes the original material and makes it its own. It removes the songs. It removes the adopted family. And in fact, we actually get a different origin story, which is absolutely devastating because we see Pete as a little kid with his parents get into a car accident. And then we get a sense of him in the wilderness with the dragon.
Oh.
And it's kind of heartbreaking. And it's incredibly sweet. You've got Bryce Dallas Howard, Robert Redford, Carl Urban, who are headlining this. Una Lawrence, a young lady who's in this, she is the daughter in the two Bad Moms movies. She's done some other stuff as well.
Word.
And the little kid who plays Pete, who apparently I can't read my handwriting, so I can't give you his name. I apologize.
Terrible.
It is. My handwriting is terrible. You okay over there?
Stomach just started growling.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking if you're all right.
I got another fucking 4 hours before I eat.
But this film is really beautiful, and it carries the same message that the previous one did about the significance of family and how we can create our own families in a way, and redemption, and it's incredibly sweet and wonderful. And where I well up just thinking about aspects of this movie, Crystal unfortunately does not. Heart of Stone, that one.
Yeah.
Bored senseless watching it. But I think out of all the remakes, sorry, Crystal, didn't mean to throw you under the bus just then.
Yeah, you did.
Did not. But Daryl made me do it. Of all the remakes that Disney has released, it is by far my favorite. And it, as a remake, gives us something new. Yeah, it really does. Okay. It doesn't just modernize it. It gives us something new with the story.
Fair enough.
What's your number one?
My number one.
Oh, John Waters. By the way, John Waters. I could not think of his name. Right. I was just listening to the song "The Creep."
Old thin-ass mustache John Waters.
Yeah, I was just listening to "The Creep" from Lonely Island the other day, and why couldn't I think of John Waters?
Damn.
Anyway,
sorry, John. I know you're a fan of the show.
Yes.
You talk about remakes, and the new one bringing something fresh and original. This one is a great idea for a story. Execution. Not quite there, because there's too much fucking around happening during production. That production of the 1960s Ocean's 11. Let's be clear. These people are not actors. Frank, yes. Dean, no. Sammy, no. Pete Lawford, no. Joey Bishop, no. And I do believe Angie Dickinson is in there as well. Yes, she was an actress. But yeah, it's just a bunch of guys just hanging out and having a good time and happening upon a movie. There's cameras here. Let's film something. We're supposed to be here for a movie, aren't we? So they took that, they remade it. 2001, I do believe, Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 11, featuring how many people.
Yes, I do know how many people.
It's got all the gang is in there as well. I think I've brought it up on other lists.
I think the last show.
Yeah, I'm just going to find a way to best Mel Gibson films. I will put Ocean's 11 on there some way.
Mel Gibson.
And find a way to justify it. I will find a way to put it on there. It is just there's a handful of movies that are just effortlessly cool. I think Pulp Fiction is going to be on that list, and it's just a fun watch. It's a sick on the couch watch. It's a rainy day, nasty weather outside watch. You can watch this. If you call me up at 3 a.m. and you're like, I'm putting on Ocean's 11, all right, well, give me a little bit to wake up, and then I'll get over there. Yeah, I love this movie to death.
Well, I agree with you because it is also my number one.
Damn straight it is.
Because I saw this film in '01, was not aware of the original. And after seeing this, loving this film, seeing it a couple times in theaters, I went and picked up the original. I rented it. I think if I were a Rat Pack fan, I would like it more.
Yeah, I am.
So the fact that you don't enjoy it as much, maybe that explains it. Because I'm watching and going, where's the story?
Yeah.
They're just finding opportunities to show them singing or doing something else.
Or
which
just fucking with each other.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that sort of lackadaisical storytelling. But there wasn't anything that really drew me in beyond these guys are in a movie together. And where there's something wonderful about that, again, Ocean's 11, this cast is incredible. Don Cheadle is hilarious in this movie and in this series. Oh, yeah, but give it to him. Yeah. We're going to give it to him. They've got a phenomenal cast, and through the course of 3 films, even though my opinion is that they vary in effectiveness in how they tell their story, they're all still 3 really strong stories, most of which is because of the fantastic cast.
Right,
but
chemistry.
Absolutely, but it's not just about having a cast with great chemistry. It's the way that they bounce off of each other. It actually works. They look like they're having fun. You buy into the fact that they're not doing these movies just because it gives them an opportunity to work together, but that they're actually enjoying the experience. That, yeah, we're going to take a gig to hang out with each other, but we're going to be doing that while making the movie, as opposed to, oh, right, we're hanging out with a movie and, oh, there's cameras. Yeah. So, okay, we'll piece something together. This film is amazing.
Yeah, I will say I like that. I prefer the ending of the original better than this one. Just the fact that they don't get the money and that it all burns up, I think, is hilarious and ironical. So that's it, man. That's it. We got to get these challenges knocked out.
Yeah.
So scant time we have left.
Did you actually watch mine?
Yeah, I watched yours.
Did you have it on while you were sleeping? How did you?
I was watching and I was engaged. I only set my fantasy football lineup in the last 20 minutes.
So you had a Monster Calls.
I did.
What'd you think?
J.A. Bayona. I do believe it's the first J.A. Bayona movie I watched.
Oh, you haven't seen The Orphanage?
No, I haven't. Felicity Jones in there, and that young man whose name I don't have in front of me, as well as Liam Neeson.
We are on it today.
Yeah, as a voice of as the big giant tree. Good movie. I enjoyed it. We don't have a whole lot to say about it. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I got done and I was like, it's one of those that I probably never would have gotten around to, but I'm glad that I did watch it. It'll be good for people I know that will enjoy that sort of thing as well. Now I have something to be like, have you checked this out? Doug Davison told me to check it out. Now I'm telling you to check it out. I really liked Liam Neeson as that tree. I think that tree, the U tree, is my favorite character in that entire. He's like, let me tell you a couple stories, kid. Life fucking sucks.
Yes,
is the whole point of his telling stories, and kid just had to find that out the hard way, like everybody else has to find that out the hard way. My question is, did Felicity Jones know about that U tree? I say yes.
I agree.
Yes, she probably found that out when she was her kid's age, and when she probably went through some shitty stuff.
Probably.
I mean, you don't see you see grandma, you don't see grandpa.
Yes, you do.
You do see grandpa?
You do.
Where do you see grandpa?
In the last 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm picking on you now. There's a photograph. There's a photograph of Felicity Jones with her father, Liam Neeson.
Well then, but you don't see him live on screen, is what I mean.
No. But because of that photo, at least the interpretation I have with it, I think it's implied, is that her father also died when she was young. So everything that she's saying to her son about, you need to feel these things, I understand what you feel. She's experienced it all. And as she is an artist, that the tree was taking the form that helped her.
Right.
And so we're seeing it through his perspective, but it's the grandfather communicating with his grandson and helping his grandson better understand these emotions and not running from them,
right?
But
like
actually
the
dealing
whole
with
damn
them.
movie.
Yeah.
And shout out to Sigourney Weaver's horrible accent in that movie. Yes, very much enjoyed that, man. Appreciate it.
It is at least to me heartbreaking.
It is. Yeah, man, we picked some heartbreaking ass films for challenges.
See, you say that, and you gave me Paddleton. Yes, which was earlier this year, I believe, a Netflix original.
Yeah, the Duplazes.
And it was directed by Alex Lerman, and it was co-written by Lerman and Mark Duplass. Mark, who leads it, playing a role of Michael, Ray Romano, the other lead, as Andy. And this film is similarly about grief, where A Monster Calls is dealing with a young man whose mother is suffering from a terminal illness and is about to die. So the whole film is about grief. There's no surprises here. You know what it's about from the beginning.
Right.
And it's about him processing that grief and how the tree sort of helps him through these three stories. With this film, it's similar. It begins with Michael getting his diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And Ray Romano as Andy is right there with him. And it's about this connection that these two have up to the point where Michael takes this medication that is legal to take, that if you have a terminal illness and you want to end your life before the illness takes you, there's medication to do.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. And I don't know, given the situation, what I would do, but the issue that I had with this film is the fact that, having recently watched a documentary about alternative ways to deal with death, where they follow a gentleman who is suffering from terminal illness and they walk you through how that process works, about who mixes the medication, about who takes the medication, about how you get the medication, et cetera, et cetera. This movie toys with that so that they can keep Romano involved in what's going on. And so for me, that took me out a little bit, going, this is inaccurate. They would never let him pay for it. They would never do this. There's some legal issues here. So where it helps the narrative to allow Romano to try and get involved and try and take ownership to try and keep his friend alive so that they can tell that aspect of the narrative, to me it weakened it because it's not accurate. They would legally have never let him do certain things.
It's your Bohemian Rhapsody argument.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it is. Because, and here again, we talked about Rocket Man. Rocket Man plays with history, but it doesn't recreate history. It uses the songs to tell the story, whereas Bohemian Rhapsody went, fuck the truth.
Yeah.
The whole movie, they went, fuck the truth.
All right.
I can give you several instances where the movie says, this happens. And I'll go, no, it didn't happen that way at all. At all. The whole movie. The whole movie is bullshit. And that's the reason why I have a problem with it. Again, the Academy goes, this is a movie that deserves it. No, it doesn't.
I mean, the Academy is judging the movie based on a movie that was made, not the accuracies of the movie. It's not the accuracy awards. It is motion pictures and arts and sciences. Judge the movie based on the movie's merits. How was the filming? How was the directing? How was the acting? How was the story?
So we'll talk story and the inaccuracies of the story. And so that's why, because we don't have the time to go into that, because you have 48 other podcasts. Yes, Paprika has podcasts.
Yes
you should listen to them.
I have 2 more to do.
Don't want to go over too long, but that's where I had a problem with it, and it took me out of the movie. That's because of the narrative issue. It took me out of the movie. The performances were great. The direction was solid. I found it incredibly evocative, and my son, I was telling you before we started recording, was having trouble going to sleep last night, and Crystal was putting him down. And I had the monitor. I had to turn it all the way down because we're getting to a really intense part. And I was like, I can't deal with your screamings right now. You're fine. You're covered.
Yeah.
Die quietly, Connor. Just go to sleep.
You're terrible.
Well, that's what my dad used to say to us when we were fighting in the backseat of the car. But he's hurting me. Die quietly. just stop being loud. But Connor had his mother, so I knew everything was fine. And I'm trying to watch this, so I had to turn it down.
I just want to do podcasts with your dad now instead of you. Get out of here. Bring your dad next time.
Yeah. But because I knew of the narrative discrepancy, I had problems with it.
Okay.
That took me out of it. But that didn't make the way that they were dealing with grief and the way that they tried to show the closeness, this intimacy of 2 friends, which is significant. And I enjoyed that as well, that it wasn't about anything other than these 2 people that have a closeness.
Last question before we go. Was
Sure.
Ray Romano's character on the spectrum?
I don't know. That to me, it wasn't something that dawned on me, but I honestly can't tell the difference between anybody that might be on the spectrum and just people with quirks. I don't think about it like that, which unless someone tells me, oh, they are, then maybe it might explain something or maybe change the way that I engage with them. But it's not something that I go, oh, well, they must be. I have no idea. He just seemed awkward and socially uncomfortable.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And he developed a closeness with this guy.
Yeah. And that's it. That is it for this episode of The Cinnamon.
Yeah.
We'll be back next whenever we're back.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, October is kind of a crazy month. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get another show in the month of October, if not, hopefully 2, before we get into the craziness of award season in November. But we don't have any challenges, specific ones today, although I may challenge you to watch my first J.A. Bayona film, The Orphanage, because it is October, and that movie is fantastic.
I have a challenge for you. I just did not have time to grab it before I came out.
Which
here.
is?
Salem's Lot.
Fuck you.
Yeah, yes, you were quite welcome, sir. And that'll do it for this episode.
Okay, so you're watching The Orphanage.
All right, then. All right, I guess it's October. Why not?
Yeah.
It'll be the perfect mood for it. I think that's going to do it for this time. You guys take it easy, and we'll see you next time around.
Later.